Okay. Good evening. So here we are. We have no presentation for the work session.
Can I just say we are live streaming?
Matt's mom passed away. I think the funeral was today. So Matt will not be with us. Ed, anything from your end?
Just a couple quick things. The senior center is wrapping up. One of the things that we did look at was putting electric out there, some lights and some outlets for coffee pots or whatever under the pavilion. Based on the money left in the contract to do all the electrical work would be about a $2,900 addition. So my question is, the board willing to entertain that as a change order to the contract to run the electric out there?
What's it for again?
It's for putting electric in the gazebo. The current one doesn't have any. This would put in lights and also some outlets for if they were out there with crock pots or coffee pots, whatever, they were doing something.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Where is it? The other item, soffits here, they're continuing the work. Getting some of that old paint is proving to be challenging off of there. They want to make sure they get it off so the new stuff will take. So their goal right now is to secure the front so we can get the doors open, and then they may have to deal with the rest of it in the spring once temperatures get warmer. That's part of the issue we're dealing with right now. But they know the goal is to get the doors open, so that's what they're going to focus on, securing what's up there. The other one is the qualifications for Seabrook Road are out. They're due on the 11th, and I'll get you and John copies when they come in. That's about it. Anybody has any questions on any other projects going on?
Anything from New York Forward yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I did confirm the museum is not in there, but I haven't heard nothing back from Albany on where they stand on the submittal that was given to them.
Okay.
Good.
Dan, anything from the clerk's office? Nope. From the attorney's office?
Couple things. Numbers 6 and 7, I'm going to ask the sponsor, Councilmember Leary, to table. This was put on after the second to last meeting, going backwards. We had to put a public hearing on because we had some minor changes in the language for the moratorium resolution. In that instance, we had to send the final language to Erie County Environment and Planning as a referral. They have 30 days to get back. Usually they get back around 2 or 3 weeks. In this particular instance, for whatever reason, they're not back yet. We've got 4 days to go. I don't want to see this thing, I don't want to see us in trouble on this for a procedural issue. And so I'm asking you to give me the extra 4 days. We'll put it on for 12/8. It'll be the same thing. We'll just move it 2 weeks to give me the 4 days to hear back. If we do not hear back, they are deemed not to wish to comment. It's the same thing as if they send us something in advance. In this instance, it's just a timing issue. There's nothing more to it, nothing sinister about it. And I'm happy to explain that during the work session, or during the actual meeting when there's a room full of people here. As far as number 11, I'm asking my office assign sponsorship of the Axon body cameras to the committee chair. However, I failed to recognize all the efforts, or at the time of drafting, all the efforts from Councilmember Leary in securing the funds for those. And I would ask that we be allowed to change sponsorship of that from Burkhart to Leary.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will table 6 and 7 at this point.
Thank you.
The next meeting.
Briefly, planning department's coming along. I am taking a field trip, if you will, out one of the townships that does a very good job is Clarence, and I'm going to head out there, meet with their planning department director and their staff. We're going to learn a little bit more if what we're going to do is model ours to some degree after theirs. We're going to go get it straight from them, but things are moving along there as well. And in the next couple of meetings, you will see resolutions at my request. We'll put them out there to change Section 258 of our town code, which references the fees, and then initiate the fee chart, which will give this board some flexibility. They can annually change the fees if it turns out that we're not at least breaking even with what we're bringing in on fees for site reviews, seeker, things of that nature. So that's all coming down the pipe.
Okay.
Very good.
Bruce, Parks, Recreation?
Good evening, Bruce Stutz, Lancaster Parks Recreation and Forestry Department. A couple updates. Westwood Nature Walk is progressing. We will be putting our sign in the ground tomorrow. We got the post, we got the UDIG, we got the clearance from National Fuel. So those, the sign and the post, we got some wood posts and the signs go up tomorrow. So it's progressing. If you ever out and want to walk it, it is looking good for a short amount of time. Also for the Forestry Department, we're pruning pretty heavy this time of year. We're pruning full streets, and we also have paving lists for 2024. So we're getting ahead of the game by pruning those for the Highway Department. Also, before the board tonight, resolution number 12, we're looking for the board support on 2 sets of tracks for our bobcats. It's essential for our snow removal, and we also use them throughout the summer, and we'll be using them on the trails too. So two new sets of tracks for our bobcat.
And let me ask you, those aren't going to be driven on regular roadways anymore? They're going to be
They will not,
trailered?
no, they'll be
to-
trailered for sure.
To where they have to go and back? Okay.
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
Yeah, for sure, Bob. And also Brickyard is progressing. I think Ed might give some updates, but still the concrete poured, and right now next step for that is a post and netting and more fencing, so. Any questions for us?
Nope.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So just a couple quick updates. We're still in the process of going through the hiring phase for the members to replace some people that have left or are going to be leaving. We have selected some pretty darn good candidates. I think we're going to be bringing them aboard once we get everything back from all their evaluations and everything. We did get the 2 utility vehicles that you guys authorized to purchase. They are in, they are currently being graphicked up, and from there they will go over to SAIA Communications to get outfitted with their lights and siren and radio. That's all I have right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Highway Superintendent Bellato is out ill, as well as Councilmember Dave Mazer. So I guess with that, we can go through our resolutions. I have the first 2 standard ones, the minutes and the claims. Councilmember Leary is going to be taking the 3 for Councilmember Mazer.
So number 3 is acknowledge issuance of building permits.
Okay, number 4 will be mine, and that will be the request bids for the Consolidated Water District. Councilmember Dickman, you will have number 5.
Number 5 is to authorize a permit for private improvements at the Angry Buffalo at 2753 Worley.
Okay, 6 and 7 were tabled. Councilmember Burkhardt, you have 8 and 9.
Adopt seeker negative declaration, local law number 5 of 2023, adoption, disposition of dogs.
Can I interrupt? Tom, since the moratorium would have been local law number 4, since that is on hold, does this become the new local law number 4? And then,
It should, since we're going in order.
right,
So,
Okay.
thank you.
you're welcome.
So anything on the reference in the resolution, we're going to change 5 to 4.
Correct.
Number 9, adopt local law number 4 of 2023 entitled adoption, disposition of dogs.
Okay. Councilmember Dickman, number 10, please.
Number 10 is just a standard special use permit renewal for Kenworth Northeast on Pavement Road, and other conditions have changed.
And Councilmember Leary, you're going to have 11 through 13.
Yes, sir. Approve purchase of 50 Axon Body 3 body-worn cameras and associated hardware and software to Axon Enterprises for the police department. Approve purchase of the 2 replacement tracks, T650, T4 Bobcats, compact truck loaders to Bobcat of Buffalo for Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, and then set the public hearing regarding local law, Section 258, Article 1, general fees, And Article 2, Planning and Development, which I believe our attorney had just mentioned.
Okay, number 14 goes to Councilmember Dickman.
Number 14 is to set a public hearing for the revocation of a special use permit for 867 Ransom Road for a junkyard.
Number 15 is actually to rescind the full-time evidence clerk because it's a part-time position, that's what they needed. So that resolution will handle both items. Councilmember Dickman, number 16.
16 is the resolution to, or for our garbage contract, to extend it an additional 60 months with Waste Management, which would get us through 2028.
Okay, and then Councilmember Leary, number 17.
Authorize the preparation of a PO 17 form new position duty statement for one principal personnel clerk, full-time. The one we had was apparently part-time.
Okay, and we do have one suspended, and it's actually a movement of funds. And that's going to be it. So we can break until 7. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
I know. I was wondering, because it was a little confusing with what he wanted. So should we change it to expenditure for the replacement of the tracks onto?
On the tracks.
How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. I see what you're saying, of the tracks on 2 different machines. And then that'll be,
Okay.
But he could just read it. Was it on there twice?
I'm looking to see.
Okay. So replacement of the tracks
Okay.
onto.
Of replacement tracks 4-2. So that's,
4-2.
that's consistent with the change you
Okay,
want.
4-2. Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief, you have a minute? You saw that? You drift? I just missed it.
This one. After $1 million.
Everything quiet over on Scotland Road?
Yeah.
How pleasant to you. I don't think they have the frontage, do they? You need a frontage, but they don't have. I'm gonna make
That's all.
Hi.
Gee, how are you guys?
Well, how are you tonight?
It's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you. Thank you. And, and then they put it's like they're always reacting. Nothing. The blind in the back. What we should do.
I don't know what happened to
I'm sorry?
I don't know what happened to it.
All right.
I'm not gonna get into an argument with these folks tonight, but I'm happy to do so. That much is- I mean, right is right.
Sure.
Diane, do you go every year?
For the last 3 years, and probably was a year and a half. They've been there 4.5 years now. So, I had to wait till they got settled, so I think I've just done the last 2 years.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Is he in the service over there, or is he working like, what's there?
Did he meet her there, or did they travel together? That's fine, that's fine, later.
Their mission statement.
Small world, big world at the same time. That's neat.
Lingo's still Dave.
I know. Yeah, then I'll feel bad if I forget and he sits in it 2 weeks and the thing breaks in half. Sorry, dude. You should have been here.
Hey, Tony, how you doing? How are you? Good.
Absolutely. I don't
How are you?
How are you? Good.
Response. How you doing?
Good, okay. Thursday?
To which one? Oh, the Republican?
Yeah.
We'll be there. Lots of them going on this month, so.
She'll be ready to transition to college.
For what? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anything good in there?
I just, again, I look because I don't, sort of put you only 3 things in 2 years.
I did not. I got
That's
mine.
upstairs. Different groups of guys.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Is this where they leave your packets for you? In the
Yeah.
drawers here?
Yeah.
How long were you there? Create a single package for you. Usually count.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. This one, it's phone calls coming in, so they go
That makes sense.
to voicemail.
That makes sense.
They can get that
Everybody
back.
good to go?
It seems
So
the best.
Have to call them in the order, please. Dan, would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Here.
Councilmember Dickman.
Here.
Councilmember Leary.
Here.
Councilmember Mazer. Supervisor Rufino.
Here. Would you do the pledge and invocation, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Please remain standing.
May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
Okay, tonight's meeting, we have actually 15 pre-filed resolutions. Resolutions number 6 and 7 were tabled. And then we have one suspended resolution, which is on a budget transfer. We have 2 public hearings. We have 6 executive sessions. They are under number 2 for dog control, number 3 on Aurora Street, under number 1, taxes and payment received, under number 2, HR services, under number 2, UKG services, and under number 6, in the building department.
That number, the Aurora should be Panora.
Oh, sorry, Panora, okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay, we'll be closing in memory of 2 people, Richard Volgoff and Dina Fiscione. Matt's mom has passed away. So at this point, I will ask anybody who'd like to speak about any of the 15 pre-filed resolutions or the 1 suspended resolution to raise their hand.
Would you allow me the opportunity to explain 6 and
Yes.
7 quickly? Just for those of you who are here for that. The public hearing's still going to happen. However, number 6 and 7, because it is a change in the law, we're required to refer this to Erie County Environment and Planning, which was done after the final language was set. We can't do it until we know what the final language is to notify Erie County Environment and Planning. They have 30 days to respond. We're at day 26. Very often, they get back to us within 2 or 3 weeks. Unfortunately, in this case, they did not, and we're not going to put this on while they still have a few days to respond. Public hearing is still on. The actual vote will take place on the 18th, December 18th.
Okay, so then we'll move on. Yes, please, I'll come to the podium, say your name and address.
Hi, I'm Paula Adamy from the other end of Lancaster, and I'm just here to read a commercial residential memoriam public hearing comments from Lee Chwaniak. I have been a town of Lancaster resident for 51 years. In the last 25 years, I've spent 23 years attending town board
Excuse me,
meetings.
Paul, can you do that during the public hearing?
Oh, I don't know. Not now?
Yeah, because
Okay.
we're going to open the public hearing for that, because it's not a resolution anymore. So anything on the other resolutions?
Sorry.
That's okay. You'll be first anyway. I got to wait till 7:05. So at this point, I think we can probably, by the time I read this, I'm going to ask for a motion to open public hearing number 1, which is on the local law 1-year moratorium.
Motion to open public
a
hearing
sec-
number 1?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Legal notice hereby given that the town board of the town of Lancaster will hold a public hearing on the 4th day of December 2023 at 7:05 PM at Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, for purposes of considering and possibly revising a local law to amend the Town of Lancaster Code to establish a 1-year moratorium on applications, approvals, and construction of commercial residential redevelopment. Copies of the revised local law can be reviewed at Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, during normal business hours and on the Town of Lancaster's website. All the members of the public shall be heard. It is now 7:05, so I'll ask anybody who wants to speak about public hearing number 1. That is you.
Trying to get through this as quickly as possible. Okay, commercial residential memoriam of public hearing comments from Lee Chwaniak. I have been a town of Lancaster resident for 51 years, and in the last 25 years, I have spent 23 years attending the town board meetings regularly. The last 2 I've been able to attend following the live streaming of the meetings. I am pro-smart growth development and anti-dumb growth development. I have watched this town develop to double its population. I've been involved in 2 comprehensive plans and seen the town evolve, making zoning and code changes to better direct development to favor its community best interest over half of the developers. Developers no longer rule this town as they once did, where they were guaranteed rezones and even rezones of rezones on a regular basis in site plans based on their best interest. Site plans were approved where residents' safely, health and quality of life were adversely impacted. Site plans approved where roads became overburdened and infrastructures inadequate and compromised. Site plans approved where value and functional wetlands were destroyed or filled to accommodate development, resulting in many of the flooding and drainage issues we now experience. Countless land segmentation practices, bogus wetlands, declinations, creeks rerouted, and tributaries filled to accommodate for development in developers' best interest. This resolution is not anti-development, as stated in the resolution. The purpose of this local law is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the town of Lancaster and to maintain the status quo as to certain commercial residential development in the town, as the current zoning regulations of the town of Lancaster do not equitably address this issue. This language of this resolution clearly defines its scope and practicability. The resolution is not anti-development, but rather the best interests of the town's future growth and that of Lancaster's community. I strongly recommend its adoption. That's it.
Thank you. So I have a couple that came in that I'm going to read off, that people were not able to be present. I think the board, did you guys get them?
Yeah.
Get it or not? Anybody else want to read them, or should I just read them? We were asked to read these. So the first one is from Lucas James. And although I was unable to attend this public hearing, thank you for letting my thoughts be heard. I must say it is disappointing to see some members of a Republican majority board proposing a building moratorium that is so clearly leftist in nature. The very idea of local government attempting to limit our inherent freedoms to build on our own private property is repulsive. It is okay to put a 1-year pause on the American dream for Lancaster residents. Or is it? Is the question. This proposed building moratorium is just another example of government's slow erosion of their personal freedoms and livelihood. If passed, the amendment will be followed by costly litigation, because it is illegal, further wasting the residents' tax dollars. I respectfully ask that this Republican board to vote this government overreach down. Thank you for your time. The second one came in from, this is from William Scubas. This is William Scubas from Scubas Village Grill. We have a Lancaster Merchants Village Association meeting tonight, so I won't be able to attend this board meeting. Let this letter stand as my opinion on the vote for the one-year moratorium for permits and new buildings, etc. in Lancaster. I oppose the moratorium. It's going to put a halt to all of the new growth that we have been working for, especially in the village. You have projects that are currently ongoing, and this will jeopardize those projects as well as the $4.5 million in New York State grant money that we are about to be awarded. How can we move forward with any of the proposal projects if we can't get a permit? This would cost not only the village merchants, but whoever else applied for those grants of $4.5 million. So those are the two that came in. At this point, I'll ask anybody else want to speak on the public hearing?
I will.
Yes, sir, back in the back.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ron Adamczak. I live at 30 Fernot Drive in Lancaster. And I'm representing the Depew, Elma, and Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. I represent the membership of 270 local businesses, nonprofit organizations that employ thousands of local employees. We'd like to express our concern over the proposed moratorium action number 7 and future long-lasting impacts. Lancaster has become a go-to community because of the housing, schools, cultural programs, youth activities, and the general sense of communal pride that we've developed over the last 20 years. We've achieved this by fostering growth from both a residential and a commercial standpoint and allowing businesses to flourish within our town. Unfortunately, this moratorium puts a lid on the success and vitality of what's been happening over the last 20 years. We're asking reconsideration of this proposal as it would be detrimental to the continued success of our town. From our research and the questions that have been posed in previous public hearings, there seems to be a lack of response from local government to address the questions presented. The community has not been privy to any factual data, studies, traffic analysis, or other non-speculatory evidence that would normally support an extensive and impactful action such as what's being proposed. Even without having this clear understanding of the issue being addressed, there are 3 major concerns that we have as the Chamber, and we'd like to address these in response to this action. We know in the past several years, housing prices have been at historic highs in our community. Actions like this would only exacerbate those costs and make it more unaffordable for people to come into our community. And basically, it's a matter of supply and demand. We know that building permits are already down 75% since 2016 due to the high cost of construction, high interest rates, and high inflation, which are all restricting the much-needed growth to solve this housing problem. Continued high housing costs will only impoverish our already struggling families, in addition to a higher tax burden from increasing annual costs and, that will be put on the existing households of our community. Number 2, we've heard and read that there's a school bus driver shortage and traffic issues. These are not limited to Lancaster, and this bus driver shortage is a nationwide phenomenon and can't be solved just by this action. The solution is quite opposite. Creating more housing will help reduce the local shortage of talent by allowing more people to come into our community and serve others. In addition, the traffic issues seem to be apparent are not backed up by any other evidence or studies and do not appear to be in the areas for the proposed development. This action will have really no effect on these erroneous concerns. And number 3, the law being proposed as written leaves all parties involved concerned about its legality, subject to misinterpretation and confused about its intent. If passed, it opens our community to an influx of legal issues which will all be paid by the taxpayers themselves. To be clear, the law appears to state that it has the option not to issue certificates of occupancy to any building project, home, or business, regardless of its current status. Our membership is not in favor of this action at this time. We do understand that there are growing pains and there are small pockets of concern within our town. We must stand together and face these challenges with professional tools, facts, strategies to minimize the negative impact on all of us while enabling our future generations with affordable housing and the pursuit of the American dream. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Greg Soika, 19 Spruceland Terrace. Some of the issues we're all familiar with living in Lancaster are the flooding issues that have been getting worse as more and more developments have gone in. The traffic issues, I disagree with what the gentleman just spoke about not being an issue, and the accidents are rising. When the rains come to Lancaster and the sewer pumping station can't handle the overflow, the DEC has issued a permit to pump raw sewage into the creek. Basements flooded. I was at a Village of Lancaster meeting, and the people had $13,000 worth of damage because the storm sewers backed up and flooded out their basements. 2 weeks ago, I read in the Lancaster Bee that right across the street on Central Avenue, raw sewage was being pumped onto Central Avenue. Low water pressure on Pleasant View and Stutzman, where the house burned to the ground and the firemen couldn't even get their trucks to it because the hydrants were not working. These are all issues regarding the residents, not the developers or builders of Lancaster, the residents, the people that live here, that support our small business, that sponsor the school programs, that volunteer with trap shooting, with softball, with football, and the other activities that are offered here. Jumping over to the Chamber of Commerce. It was interesting he came up here and had that to say. The Chamber of Commerce mission, this comes from their website, is to actively support and promote business, industry, institutions, organizations, and individuals in the effort to enhance and strengthen the quality of life for the business community and residents of the villages of Depew, Lancaster, Town of Lancaster, and Elma. Safety is the overriding consideration in strengthening the quality of life for both the business community, the residents, and the transition public. This proposed moratorium fully honors the Chamber's mission because it would give the town board an opportunity to ensure the growth and development go forward with full safety considerations. Let's make Lancaster both safe and prosperous. He also spoke about affordable housing and keeping costs down and everything. What I have here, and just so people know, political donations are not tax deductible, but I went on the computer and I pulled up the 2019 political donations of the Lancaster endorsed Democrats. And there's $88,000 worth of donations for the year 2019, and I won't get specific and go through there, but there's a lot of developers that develop, obviously, in Lancaster on here that donate tens of thousands of dollars. And the voters spoke loud and clear in our election 2 years ago and wanted change, and I hope that this moratorium is voted through. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, right here in the middle.
Hi there. Adam Shop with Block, Longo, Lamarca, and Brzezinski. A moratorium is used to suspend the right of a landowner to obtain development approvals while the municipality considers amendments to its comprehensive plan, quote, to address new circumstances not addressed by current laws. The immediate and glaring problem in this case is that there is no new circumstances that aren't being and haven't been addressed in current laws. The town has worked on establishing multifamily density for years and reviewed the impacts for commercial and single-family development in its recent adoption of the town's comprehensive plan. For example, in 2013, when the neighborhood business district was updated to allow residential occupancy in the commercial district, this was specifically amended to prepare for the coming mixed-use properties that both include commercial and residential development. Here, the town's philosophy was to provide an environment for its residents where they could both work and live. Moving on to 2018, the town updated its comprehensive plan after several years of exhaustive review. Here, the town reviewed rezoning to allow a variety of housing types. This leads to November 2020. Lancaster's zoning code was amended to create multifamily multi-use as a specific result of the newly adopted comprehensive plan, which specifically addressed commercial development as part of a residential building. Now, looking at multifamily residential and mixed-use district, in the multifamily residential and mixed-use district, the following regulations shall apply. Intent. The intent of the multifamily residential / mixed-use district is to, 1, provide areas within the town for the development of attached and detached dwelling units at higher densities where public sewers are available. 2, encourage development that exhibits the physical design characteristics of pedestrian-oriented, storefront-style shopping streets that allow certain neighborhoods serving retail, service, and other uses. 3, encouraging mixed-use development. And 4, promote the health and well-being of residents by encouraging physical activity, alternative transportation, and greater social interaction. On behalf of the Buffalo Niagara Builders Association, we represent several builders and developers, including Murano, Natali, Forbes Capretto, and Andy Romanowski. Basic requirements of a land use moratoria. As stated, the New York zoning enabling statute contains no mention of the word moratorium. In holding moratoria to be lawful, the cases have suggested that there are 5 key elements. There are 5 key elements that are requisite for a legally defensible moratorium. The land use moratorium should, 1, have a reasonable time frame as measured by the action to be accomplished during the term. 2, have a valid purpose justifying the moratoria or other interim enactment. 3, address the situation where the burden imposed by a moratorium is being shared substantially by the public at large. 4, strictly adhere to the procedure for adoption laid down by enabling acts. And 5, have a time certain when the moratorium will expire. Here, the proposed moratorium fails for several reasons. 1, reasonable time frame. Based off the town's extensive review of multifamily, single-family, and commercial development over the last 10 years, a 1-year moratorium is completely unreasonable. 2, valid public purpose. Most importantly, the town has not shown any evidence that there exists a valid purpose justifying the moratoria. 3, the proposed moratoria is not being shared by the public at large. This burden is being placed squarely on the shoulders of the builders and developers and not the public at large. And 4, Schedule B was adopted setting forth specific requirements for multifamily multi-use uses such as measuring lot areas, lot width, density, floor areas, etc. The legislative findings in the proposed local law state as follows. The town of Lancaster does not hereby find the town of Lancaster does hereby find that the town has experienced significant and rapid growth. Since when? Since 2020, when you adopted the multifamily multi-use zoning district? Since 2022, when you created and adopted specific requirements for multifamily multi-use uses? There is no evidence whatsoever to support the unsubstantiated legislative findings, absent the unsubstantiated claims of a very vocal minority who simply claim there's too much traffic. Now, what about vagueness? The proposed law states that its goal is to maintain the status quo. As to certain commercial development in the town, what does that mean? Just mixed use and commercial buildings? Just commercial? Just residential? The term commercial residential development uses shall be broadly interpreted to encompass any development of multifamily housing facilities, including but not limited to apartment complexes, condominium buildings, townhome communities, and other residential home subdivisions and developments. Not included within the scope of this moratorium is the development of commercial businesses in districts zoned for business uses or minor subdivisions of personally owned land. This moratorium does not prohibit applications for structures such as fences, pools, sheds, and the like on land owned personally by town residents. This is as vague as it could be. Why is the term commercial even there? And if it is commercial, what are you trying to include? Is an approved single-family subdivision included? Is a mixed-use building included? Is a standalone commercial building included? The notice of the hearing says that the purpose is to establish a one-year moratorium on applications, appeals, and construction of commercial residential development. Again, on its face, the local law is unconstitutionally vague. Now, turning to the Section 6, the variance standard, a variance shall be considered in accordance with the requirements of a use variance. What does this exactly mean? Use variance standards, for example, require a showing that the applicant is unable to realize a reasonable rate of return for every permitted use. That must be shown by dollars and cents proof. Is this the standard you are requiring? And then consider the impact on schools. You have to understand that a one-year moratorium is not just a one-year impact. It is more of a 2 to 3 year impact on revenue-producing developments that the town will no longer receive. Who is hurt most by this lack of revenue? Schools and children. In summary, we adamantly oppose the adoption of the proposed moratorium. Thank you.
Excuse me, Adam, could you spell your last name?
SHOP, S-C-H-O-P.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening. My name is William Tyne. I'm from David Homes. I'm a past president of the Buffalo Niagara Builders. I'm a past president of the New York State Builders. I also wear hats on your side of the table in the community nearby where I live, where I sit on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I see these matters from both sides. I've been a land use consultant for 40 years. I've done a lot of work in this town. I'm sure quite a few of the people that have spoken tonight live in neighborhoods that we created. Now, not many of them live in lean-tos. They live in homes. And so one of the problems as an industry we have is that we build homes for people. They move into those neighborhoods, and then they don't want anyone else to move in after that because they want the world to remain static from that day forward. They don't want to see change. But I want to tell you, as someone who's done this kind of work around the country for a very long time, I have yet to see a community that has shrunk its way to prosperity. And so the idea of growth is important, and I would also tell you that I'm not here to debate people. I'm not here to rehash what I said a couple of weeks ago in front of you. I want to give you something new to consider. I hope you took the opportunity to watch the video I referenced for you to discuss the economic impact of the decision you're about to embark upon. And the reason for that is because land uses do not exist in isolation. They work together. If you like the fact that they're shopping on Transit Road, those stores need consumers, they need customers, and those customers, those consumers live in houses. And as I said the last time, there is no sector of the economy that's exempt from this process. I will also say that if you believe that this is an issue, you talked about a little while ago that you are holding off on a decision tonight because you're still waiting to complete the seeker process for this. And I'm sure, as you know, seeker is required in this state of any action that involves an agency of government that is either directly undertaken by government, is funded by government, or requires discretionary approval by government. That's literally everything. There is nothing that escapes those three tests. So you have this obligation to do this. like you also had to do when you did the comprehensive planning work that was referenced by Mr. Sharp a moment ago. And so if you had a problem back then, and by the way, the amount of development you had back then, because people are fond of coming up here, I hear it all the time, in hearings that I live through where people come up and they make statements and they attribute them basically on their impressions. They're not documented, they're not based on studies, they're not typically, I should be careful about saying this as a sweeping generalization, but they are not typically attached to any objective criteria and study that you can review and look at. They're just simply based on impression. And so when you did those other jobs for you, things that you directly undertook and required your discretionary approval to pass comprehensive plans, to change your local zoning when you made lots larger, not smaller, which means they're more expensive, there's fewer permits, and the amount of homes that go in on density is lowered. So all of these steps you took have had an objective result. The permits that you used to see as activity, I think, without having it in front of me, was somewhere around 2016, I think you peaked out. You were doing 178 permits a year. You're now 66, in that area. This year to date, I think we're at 66 single family, and I can't remember the number for multifamily, but you are way down on permits, and yet people are saying it's out of control. And so if you had an issue that required, under seeker, an identified action you needed to take that would force the reason for moratorium and would slow this process down, back when you were doing your comprehensive planning, I would think that would have been the appropriate time to say, we've got a problem. We need to look at traffic as we're passing our land use plans comprehensively for the entire town. As we're looking at drainage issues, as we're looking at downstream sewer capacity issues, all of these things, water supply, all of these things have to be evaluated, and seeker requires that the analysis is not simply environmental. It also considers social and economic impacts as well. And so when you make a seeker determination tonight, or in the next few days or weeks, before you render your final decision, that same idea needs to be put in place. What are the economic consequences of this act? Because it impacts a lot of people economically. And I don't care what they do. They depend on the creation of neighborhoods and the population that exists that become the consumers for goods and services in this community. You also heard people tell you that they've never seen more drainage problems since this development started. Development, I can tell you, categorically, and I'll be happy to share study after study after study with you, because I won't just tell you something anecdotally or based on an impression. When people have problems with drainage, it's development that solves those problems, because drainage has to be engineered to get a development approved. You're not allowed to just drop off water. And before you can get approved and get through the seeker process, it's a rigorous engineering review that requires that you do not impact properties downstream from where you're developing by taking too much water and shedding it off on them, or backing water up and flooding people upstream from your project. It costs a lot of money, not just to study it, but to build it and engineer these systems, which are designed to store stormwater runoff and release it over a longer period of time at slower, lower levels. Very complex process. It is not done cavalierly. It is not done capriciously. So these kind of issues are the things that really happen when you study and do developments. They engineer streets, water supply systems, sewer systems. All of these things are looked at. And by the way, they are not reviewed just by the developer's engineer. They're not just reviewed by the town engineer. They're not just reviewed by the engineers at the public health agencies of the Department of Health, at the county and state level, or at the Department of Environmental Conservation, who are reviewing these things as well. A litany of engineers, the sewer authority, the water authority, all of these people review and evaluate the applicability, the appropriateness, and the correctness of these designs. And I will say, it requires that things be, one, designed correctly, and two, be built correctly. But when those things are done, Development solves problems. And quite often, developers spend a lot of money to build their projects because they are required to mitigate for their impacts. They're not just allowed to build a project, as people often will tell you. You heard it tonight. They're just rubber stamped, and they came in, and off they go. They get approval, and they can rezone it and rezone it again and do whatever they want. It's funny how that is the case, even though it takes years, sometimes decades, literally decades, to get projects approved in our community. And as you go through that process, it really is something that's evaluated and looked at very closely. It is not done just on the say-so of someone turning in a set of plans. They are reviewed by lots of people before they get approved, and if there's a problem, we have to stop and we have to mitigate for it. And so quite often, developers are building right-hand turn lanes and traffic signals and improving water systems that are not within the project area. They're fixing problems that exist in your existing community. And that's the part that other people also forget about. The developments that go in, they subsidize the older areas where you have older infrastructure that requires maintenance and significant costs to operate these facilities. New developments put in brand new equipment, brand new infrastructure, brand new materials that are virtually maintenance free for the next 50 years before they start beginning to fail and need replacement. And so these older neighborhoods benefit. People often like to talk about the difference in cost that's incurred, that you don't collect enough money in property taxes to pay for the services that you're forced to provide. That's simply not true. First of all, the economy is far more complex than just that very simple analysis, but it also ignores what I just said. The fact that these new neighborhoods are subsidizing older neighborhoods because these costs are blended together. And where you're actually spending your tax dollars providing services, operation and maintenance of these facilities is in the older neighborhoods. The newer ones are helping you offset those costs, keeping these costs from spiraling out of control. It's funny how the places that are growing in this country are the places where people are moving into and are saying our taxes are great. Yet in Buffalo, if you see a decline in population and the taxes are going up, the argument is development's causing it. Our costs are going up because we're seeing new development. Again, you can't shrink your way to prosperity. So with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration, and I hope you really take these comments seriously and you do a very hard look, as is required under seeker, before you take any action under this, because it is not as simple as people would lead you to believe that it is. Thank you for your time.
Sir, can you repeat your last name?
Tyne, T-U-Y-N.
Right, thank you.
You should be able to find me in your records going back 40 years.
Yes.
Thanks.
To add on to the information that he gave you guys, Bill Mary's Romano, 1266 Penora Street. By the way, I'm sorry that the first time we were invited to be here, we left, we weren't aware, my husband and I, that we were supposed to stay until 6:30, so we apologize for that because we were on your papers. The reason why I'm showing up in here, I have communicated several times with Matt Fiscioni, and we have forwarded pictures, videos.
This is not for the moratorium.
Is this for the moratorium?
No.
Open hearing, toward the end, wait till the very end?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, sorry, so comments only on the moratorium?
I knew exactly.
Good evening. My name is James Ostroff. I live at 48 Stutzman, Bowmansville, New York. I want to thank the Honorable Board for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I've listened to the people who are against the moratorium, and I understand where they're coming from totally. We live in a economic system which is called capitalism. The purpose of capitalism is to make a profit, to make money. Unfortunately, capitalism does not care about the public health, welfare, and safety. We've seen this innumerable times in all kinds of media about what corporations and capitalism do. I respect the developers for what they want to do, and I understand where they're coming from. However, the town of Lancaster was built as established as a agricultural community. Consequently, the infrastructure that followed was built to support an agricultural community. That's why we have the problems that we have today. It was never built with the expectation that we would be having suburban developments with consequential populations. One of the beauties of this country is our Constitution. Our Constitution gives us rights. However, these rights are not infinite. They have a beginning, they have an end. The First Amendment gives us the right to free speech, but not to yell fire in a crowded theater. The Second Amendment gives us rights to carry arms and bear arms, but it doesn't give us the right to indiscriminately take another person's life or possessions. The Fifth and the Eighth Amendments of the Constitution give property owners the right to develop their properties, which is totally understandable. However, again, rights have a beginning and they have an ending. They end when they impinge upon another person's rights, and that's what is happening today. The consequences of our actions, of all the development, and I'm not saying I'm against it, but it needs to be looked at and followed through. Within 1,000 feet of my house, within the past couple of years, there was a fire on Pleasant View, which totally destroyed the house. There was a fire on West Home, which totally destroyed the garage. Why? Because insufficient infrastructure. That's what we're looking at. It's not so much that the moratorium is to stop people from developing, and again, I understand what all the people from the Chamber of Commerce and the developers are saying about how important economics is, but the point is we have exceeded our capacity for our infrastructure. We can keep on building and building and building, and all we're going to do is lead to congestion, and what will ultimately happen is Lancaster will no longer be a desirable community. People will be leaving because, again, the Constitution doesn't give people the right to destroy other people's public health, welfare, and safety. And that's what the people who are for the moratorium are saying, and the people who are against it are not saying. They're saying it's a matter of money. It's all a matter of balance. It's all a matter of how we want to look at our community. Do we want to have a quality of life, or do we want to have money in our pockets? And that's basically what it's boiling down to. That's the way I see it. I've been here for 25 years. When I first moved on the Stutzman Road, I could have laid on the street for a half an hour and not got run over. Now I couldn't even cross the street without a vehicle. And again, I'm not saying the development is wrong or it's bad, but we have to keep things in balance, and we are not in balance. Our infrastructure is way down here, and everything else is way up here. We are out of balance. That's the way nature works. That's the way life works. When you're out of balance, you have disastrous results. And that's why you're seeing the problems with our water and with our roads. We do not have the infrastructure. Somewhere along the line, we have to accommodate the people who are in the town and also the people who want to develop the town. There has to be some balance and understanding between the two parties. It's not all one-sided. It's not all no, no, no. We don't want to develop, and yes, 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 we must. But I don't see a balance because it's just like the way things are in Congress today. People don't want to talk. It's one side or the other. And it's either my way or the highway. And I'm not saying I'm right, but from what I see, I just don't feel that we're heading in the right direction. And if economics is the bottom line, then so be it. Then we'll suffer under our own hands. And that's basically what we've been doing all along for the past years, because that's what we're doing. We have outgrown our infrastructure. And until we can compensate for that and do something to develop it or have a plan to develop our infrastructure, I see nothing but more and more problems coming down the line, and that's up to you gentlemen to decide. Thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on the public hearings? I'll ask for a second time and a third time. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the first public hearing?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to open public hearing number 2, which is on the purchase of 211 Pavement Road.
Motion to open public hearing number 2?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I'll read the legal notice. It's hereby given pursuant to a resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster adopted on November 20, 2023. A public hearing will be held on the 4th day of December 2023 at around 7:05 at the Town Hall to hear all interested persons regarding the purchase of 211 Pavement Road for the purpose of expanding the recreational fields at Westwood Park. The purpose of the hearing is to provide an opportunity for citizens to express their sentiments, concerns, or views which would benefit citizens of the Town of Lancaster. All citizens who wish to be heard are urged to attend this public hearing. Anybody want to speak on public hearing number 2?
My name is Chuck Marino. I live at 45 Streamview Lane in the town of Lancaster. Currently, I am the president of Lancaster Depew Soccer Club, and I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about the importance, at least what our club feels is the importance of expanding the parks in the town. First off, we thank you for the great work you've done enhancing the parks in the town of Lancaster. The fields are always meticulously maintained. The baseball diamonds look fantastic, and we also appreciate the turf field that was put in Westwood Park some years back. On a positive note, our club, which was founded in 1976, has grown significantly and provides meaningful services to the youth, the children of Lancaster, and surrounding towns, to the tune of about 2,000 players. We run various programs that keep the kids off the streets, keep them active, and keep them growing and developing as not only athletes and for their physical fitness, but as fine young men and women. The lessons they learn through sports, they carry with them throughout their entire life and career as they get older. And so our club has, as I said, various soccer programs that we offer. House League program, which currently has about 1,800 kids participating, and then a travel program, which has about 340 kids participating. In addition, we run several camps throughout the year. Unfortunately, we've outgrown the capacity of the town of Lancaster, and we are one of the top 3 clubs in Western New York, but we have the fewest number of soccer fields. I believe the ratio is 1 field to every 250 kids, which is unsustainable. In order for us to continue to maintain these programs, we need your support. And what we're asking is for the expansion of Westwood Park, which not only will support the soccer club, but other youth athletic organizations in Lancaster, as well as the residents of Lancaster. More nature, more green space in the parks that can be used by everyone. The other thing that we provide to our members is we have about 150 kids that came through our program that also work for us. And we certify them as trainers. And so then the kids that came through our program then train the youngest, 4-year-olds through 12-year-olds, and help us run our soccer programs. And so for many of them, that's their first part-time job. So I think, for all those reasons, we make a big impact on the community. We enjoy working with all of you, and we're here to help in any way we can. We are happy to contribute, if we can, to the development of the land, if necessary. But I just wanted to take a few minutes to let you know how important it is to us and to all of our community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak on this? I'll just say a few words myself. I've been working with this group for a number of years. We've had a lot of properties fall through for various reasons. I think Chuck was meeting with you, and all of a sudden, we looked on the maps and this property popped up. And I got very excited about it because it was right next to the park, which is a perfect fit for us to, you know, I think it's something that we should certainly move forward on. It's finally going to give the soccer folks the added fields. I know at first we were looking for, you know, the whole big complex, which was never going to happen. But by you folks scaling your plan down, you know, this property here does basically give us some years of satisfaction to move forward in it. And again, it's a lot of the work can be done by our folks. And the great thing about it is it's right next to the park, so they could kind of join. But, you know, thank you for your patience. I hope, you know, I said I won't be here, but, you know, hopefully the future board moves forward with this. I know we do have, I'm not going to say the quote, but I did get a quote of the appraisal, and it seems very, very reasonable to move forward on this. And we have to go through the steps. Our attorney's been heavily involved with this. I know Bruce, I don't know if he's still in the audience, Bruce has been involved with this as well. So, in my opinion, hopefully we do this as quick as possible so we don't lose the land and we're able to move forward. So, thank you again. At that, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the second public hearing?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. So we're going to move on. Official report, if anybody? Okay. The only thing I have is the banners have started going up. I don't know if people have noticed them, going up throughout town. The ones I displayed last meeting. They look very good out there. It's Carmen in the room here, Ciccarelli. Carmen did a really good job in coordinating a lot of the light poles for us with the company. And again, this is, I'll say it again, no cost to taxpayers. And yeah, I basically picked points of entrance into the town where you'll be welcome in the town of Lancaster with these, also our facilities, such as the 525 pavement will have a banner, as well as our parks and our senior center and youth bureau. By entering the program, we were given 3 free banners, and I felt to be best used. We have 3 fire companies, and they'll be getting the 3 banners at each of our fire companies. It'll be the town logo on the top, and where it would be a sponsorship in the bottom will be basically a fire symbol in there. So that's going very well, and again, I hope the town enjoys the beauty that brings to us. So after that, I guess we're going to move on to our resolutions. I'd like to move resolution number 1. This resolves the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held on November 20th, 2023, being hereby approved. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 2. This resolves the following audit claims being hereby ordered paid from their respective accounts as per abstractly filed in the office of the town clerk by the supervisor's office. It's check run number 12042023. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid is $143,995.06. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. And if I mentioned earlier, but Councilmember Mazur's not here, Councilmember Leary will be doing his resolutions. So number 3 will go to Councilmember Leary.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Be resolved that the following building permits applications be and hereby are reaffirmed. We have 24 in the town, 5 in the village. My understanding is there is no sidewalk variances in this group, so we don't need to read that again.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 4. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of town of Lancaster hereby invites public bids for the Water Systems Improvements Project, contract number TLN-15, Erie Street. Said bids to be in conformance with the plans and specifications which are available at the office of William & Shutt, 37 Central Avenue, and to be received in the office of the town clerk here at 21 Central Avenue, no later than 10 a.m. local time on Thursday, January 24th. January 4th, 2024, and open thereafter. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 5, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I move Resolution 5 for its adoption. Whereas Joseph David, 2753 Worley Drive, Williamsville, New York, has applied to the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster for a permit for private improvements upon real property in the Town of Lancaster within 2753 Worley. And whereas the town engineer in the Town of Lancaster is certified in the following permit application that he has reviewed the improvement plans and permit application for the installation of the private improvements requested and that they conform to the ordinance of the Town of Lancaster. Now therefore be it resolved that the private improvement permit application number 852 for 2753 Worley Drive, which is a private improvement permit for a 36,000 square foot arena building as shown on the construction drawings and approved site plan.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Hey, question? We have an address at 2753 Worley Drive listed in Williamsville, New York, and then we're talking about the town of Lancaster at 2753 Worley Drive. Is that?
It's probably just the mailing, just the mailing.
Yes, no, it's Williamsville.
It's on the, right on the border. A lot of the properties up there are Williamsville mailing address.
Thank you.
On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. And as stated, we are tabling number 6 and 7. So Councilmember Burkhart, would you move resolutions number 8 and 9, please?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I'm offering resolutions 8 and 9 for adoption. Whereas the municipal home rule law of the state of New York in Chapter 26 of the Town of Lancaster, Town Code provide for the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas the Town of Lancaster Town Board is proposing a local law revision to Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 28 of the Town of Lancaster Code, Animals, Article 1, Licensing and Control of Dogs, updating Section 82-14, Adoption, Disposition of Dogs, and whereas the Board has duly considered the action, the environmental assessment form, the criteria for determining significance set forth in 6 New York CRR Section 617.7C, and such other information deemed appropriate. And whereas the proposed action has been labeled a Type 1 action under SECRA, and whereas the Board has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern, has taken a hard look at these areas, and has made a reasoned elaboration of the basis for its determination. Now therefore be it resolved, number 1, based upon a thorough review and examination of the known facts relating to the action and its careful review of all potentially adverse environmental impacts and the entire record and proceedings relating to the action, the Board finds the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. 2, the attached negative declaration incorporated wherein by reference is issued and adopted for the reasons stated in the attached negative declaration. Number 3, the town clerk is hereby authorized to direct to distribute copies of the resolution as necessary. Number 4, the town attorney's office shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner and with all required New York State and Erie County agencies, filing a copy of letter of transmittal. And 5, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Just a moment. Not in this document, but in the seeker document attached, it references local law 5. That should read local law 4 anywhere in these pages for resolution 8 and the neg deck that reference 5. That should be local law 4 with the tabling of the one just prior. So this will all be local law 4.
That would be true on number 9 as well.
That'll be true on number 9 as well.
On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 9, whereas the municipal home rule law of the state of New York in Chapter 26 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster provide for the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster is proposing a local law revision to Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 82 of the Town of Lancaster Code, Animals, Article 1, Licensing and Control of Dogs, updating Section 82-14, adoption, disposition of dogs, and was introduced to the town board of the town of Lancaster by Councilman Burkhardt on the 16th of October, 2023. And whereas the town board, acting as lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has determined the action is type 1 action and has issued a negative declaration. And whereas the town board called for notice and held a public hearing on the proposed local law on November 6, 2023, where all interested parties were allowed to address the proposed local law. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Lancaster, number 1, the attached local law number 4 of 2023 is hereby adopted. 2, the local law shall be effective upon its filing with the Secretary, State Pursuant of the Municipal Home Rule Law.
May I have a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 10, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer Resolution 10 for adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster previously held a public hearing upon the application of Kenworth Northeast Group Incorporated for a special use permit to operate a medium to heavy duty truck repair inspection facility on the premise located at 563 Pavement Road in the town, and the board issued such special use permit December 21st, 2015 for two-year periods. And whereas by letter dated October 27, 2023, Daniel A. Dentino Jr., Chief Operating Officer of Kenworth Northeast, has requested that the town board renew the special use permit for an additional 2-year term. And whereas Matt Fischione, Supervising Code Enforcement Officer, has recommended the renewal of the special use permit per his letter dated November 13, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the town board of the town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit renewal to Daniel Dentino Jr., Chief Operating Officer of Kenworth Northeast, to operate a medium to heavy truck repair and inspection facility on the premise located at 563 Pavement Road in the town of Lancaster, upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning December 21st, 2023 and ending December 20th, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with the conditions as set forth in General Industrial District, supplementary regulations for General Industrial District, and special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and any additional conditions listed herein as long as the applicant continues to engage in the occupation list above on the premise, namely, and this has the same original 6 conditions.
There's 2 new ones.
Oh, there are.
The original 4, just A and B, has to provide the property facility number and have his fire inspection. Those hadn't been done yet. That's why this was pulled at the last meeting.
Okay.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, number 11 through 13, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move the following 3 resolutions for adoption. Number 11, whereas Jeffrey D. Smith, Detective Captain for the Town of Lancaster Police Department, by letter dated November 20th, 2023, has requested to purchase 50 Exxon Body 3 body-worn cameras and associated hardware and software, digital evidence storage platform, and necessary warranties on all a part of a 5-year contract for use by the town's law enforcement personnel and for the benefit of the community. And whereas the Exxon Body 3 body-worn cameras and associated hardware are available from the New York State Office of General Services contract, PM 69698, IT umbrella contract through authorized retailer Exxon Enterprises Incorporated, located in Scottsdale, Arizona, in the amount of $319,261 per their quote dated November 2nd, 2023, which eliminates the need for competitive bidding pursuant to Section 103 of General Municipal Law. Whereas the Exxon Body 3 body-worn cameras and associated hardware and software, digital evidence storage platform, and necessary warranties, all are part of a 5-year contract, will be paid for A, $200,500 from FY 203 COPS Technology and Equipment Program Invitational Solicitation Award. And if I could for a minute, we want to thank Congressman Jacobs, who we worked with in the beginning when we requested that money, and follow up with Congressman Langworthy. Also want to thank, when you send in for one of these federal awards, you got to get a lot of support from the community. We had other elected officials fill out, support letters of support for us, and we also had private companies, businesses fill out letters for us, including Greg Soika was kind enough to go out and get several people to make up letters of support for this particular award. Thank you to all those people. B, $96,000 from New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services body-worn camera funding that Monica Wallace coordinated. Thank you to Assemblymember Wallace, excuse me. C, $22,761 from the 2023 Police Department budget, line 3120.428, public safety equipment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the purchase of 50 Axon Body 3 body-worn cameras and associated hardware and software, digital evidence storage platform, and necessary warranties, all a part of a 5-year contract, and authorizes the supervisor and chief of police or his designee to accept a quote from Axon Enterprises Incorporated, again located in Scottsdale, Arizona, as proposed by Jeffrey D. Smith, Detective Captain, Town of Lancaster Police Department, under New York State Office of General Services contract, for an amount not to exceed $319,261 per their quote, dated November 2nd, 2023, and be it further resolved, payment for Axon Body 3 body-worn cameras and associated hardware and software, digital evidence storage platform, and necessary warranties, all a part of a 5-year contract, will be paid for as following, and we went through this originally, but $200,500 from the COPS Technology and Equipment Program Solicitation Award, $96,000 from New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services body-worn camera funding, $22,761 from the Police Department budget, line 3120.428, public safety equipment.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution number 12, whereas by letter dated November 27th, 2023, Bruce Stutz, Town of Lancaster Parks Crew Chief, has requested the town board approve expenditures for the replacement of the tracks for 2 T650 T4 Bobcat compact truck loaders, and whereas the above referenced tracks are available from authorized dealer Bobcat of Buffalo, located on Transit Road in Lockport, in an amount not to exceed $7,100 to include parts and installation per Bobcat service quote 01-10057, dated November 16, 2023, which will be paid for from line item 01-7110-0230, Parks, Other Motorized Equipment. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the purchase of replacement tracks for 2 T650 T4 Bobcat truck loaders in an amount not to exceed $7,100 to include parts and installation per Bobcat service quote, dated November 16, 2023, from Bobcat of Buffalo, located on Transit Road, and which will be paid for again from line item 01-7110-0230, Parks, Other Authorized Motor Equipment.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution number 13, whereas the municipal home rule law of the state of New York and Chapter 26 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster provide for the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas the town board of the Town of Lancaster is considering local law of the year 2024, revising Section 258, Article 1, General Fees, and Article 2, Planning and Development Fees, a copy of which local law is available for review at the Town Hall, and whereas pursuant to the Town of Lancaster Code and the Municipal Home Rule Law, a public hearing is required on the local law. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Board of Lancaster, a public hearing for the revised local law is hereby set for the 18th day of December 2023 at 7:05 p.m. at the Lancaster Town Hall, right here at 21 Central Avenue. Number 2, the town clerk is directed to provide notice of the public hearing as required by law. And number 3, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 14, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer Resolution 14 for adoption. Whereas a salvage license for Ransom Auto Parts Salvage Yard, 867 Ransom Road, Lancaster, New York, was renewed on April 6, 2023, after holding a public hearing to discuss property deficiencies in violation of the Town of Lancaster Code, Chapter 275 Salvage Yards. And whereas the salvage license expired on October 2nd, 2023, and whereas a site inspection was performed on November 15th, 2023, to determine compliance with the conditions described in the resolution dated April 3rd, 2023. Whereas November 15, 2023 site inspection noted continuing deficiencies and violations. Whereas Chapter 275 Salvage Yards of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires that the Town Board conduct a public hearing for the purpose of renewing or revoking the salvage yard license in compliance with the Town of Lancaster and New York State Department of Conservation regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 275 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, a public hearing to revoke the salvage yard license by Dennis Hanaszewski, owner of 267 Ransom Road, Lancaster, New York, and to order site remediation in compliance with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, will be held at the Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on the 18th day of December at 7:05 p.m. local time, and that notice of the time and place of such hearing be published in the Lancaster Bee, a newspaper of general circulation in said town, and be posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made a part hereof.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 15. Now therefore be it resolved that the creation of one position titled Evidence Clerk, full-time in the Town of Lancaster Police Department be rescinded, and the creation of one position titled Evidence Clerk, part-time in the Town of Lancaster Police Department be created. That the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster is hereby authorized to complete and submit Form P-017, new position duty statement, for authorization by the County of Erie of personnel to create one position titled Evidence Clerk, part-time in the Police Department. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 16, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer Resolution 16 for adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster previously duly advertised a request for proposals for municipal refuse collection and municipal disposal and recyclable material collection and processing services within the town's garbage and refuse district. And whereas proposals were received, opened, and reviewed on September 20th, 2018, and whereas the Town Board duly reviewed and considered the proposals received, discussed with legal counsel, and consulted with an environmental and solid waste expert. And whereas on November 5th, 2018, the Town Board deemed it in the interest of the Town of Lancaster to accept the bid of Waste Management, being the lowest responsible bidder in compliance with the specifications on file, in accordance with the terms in Section 6 of response in alternate proposal number 1 for a period of 71 months, being February 1st, 2019, and expiring on December 31st, 2024, for the bid amount values submitted in Section 6 and alternate proposal 1 and Section 8 for the response, with an option by the town to extend the contract up to an additional 5-year term upon mutual agreement consistent with the specifications on file. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby accepts and awards the contract extension for municipal refuse collection, municipal disposal, and recyclable material collection and process services within the Lancaster Garbage and Refuse District of the Town of Lancaster to Waste Management, 100 Rancier Drive, West Seneca, New York, for a period of 60 months beginning January 1st, 2024, and expiring December 31st, 2028, for the agreement as presented, which includes the option for an additional 5-year extension upon mutual agreement, said award being contingent upon Waste Management meeting the following conditions: executing a contract with the Town of Lancaster, continuance performance bond for a sure authorized do business in New York, providing coverage for all insurance requirements listed in the contract, and commencing continuation of services on January 1st, 2024. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster authorizes the supervisor and other appropriate town officials to proceed with the implementation of all steps reasonably necessary and appropriate to implement the term and conditions of the extension.
We have a second. Second. On the question, Adam, there's one correction.
There was?
It actually expires December 31st, 2023.
It's written in 24, you read it as written.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Dan, on the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, number 17, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move Resolution 17 for adoption. Whereas Robert Leary, council member of the town of Lancaster, has requested the creation of one position of principal personnel clerk, full-time in the town of Lancaster Supervisor's Office. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster be and is hereby authorized to complete and submit Form PO 17, new position duty statements, for authorization by the County of Erie Department of Personnel to create one position of principal personnel clerk, full-time in the supervisor's office. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. And the reason we're doing this is we thought we had a position, but it was a part-time position, so now we're asking for a full-time position.
We have a second?
Second.
On the question? So I'm going to ask, why are we going full-time? I've been operating with a part-time person for years on this.
Because we need full-time people in there. There's a lot of things going on right now that need to be fixed, and I hope to get the proper people in place so that we can fix a lot of the things
But
that are
you're
not.
gaining other two full-time people for the other positions, so I'm not sure why. Okay. good.
Well, it was listed as a, what was it, accountant? Again, I've just changed it to a principal personnel person who can take care of both payroll and HR matters. There's nobody in HR right now. I call HR, I'm going to become the full-time supervisor, I got nobody to even answer a question of, anything to do with dental program, deferred comp. We got nobody that can answer these questions right now. This person will be a full-time person in there to take care of that matter along with the payroll responsibilities. Our payroll is a mess right now. The last week, we didn't have any pay stubs that went out to the employees. Had to talk to EBC and ask them to print out payroll stubs so people could see what they made. Nobody knew that they were supposed to go into a certain website to look for these things. We got to have people in place to solve these problems. You got to have people in place. Employees and residents, wherever necessary, if necessary, can call people and get specific answers to questions. The company, the contractors do what they do. We need somebody full-time.
So I understand you're replacing okay, but I just want to question the thing that, when I operated the office, we had a director of finance, which you're going to have. Okay, we have an accountant, basically, and you're going to replace the accountant with
Yes,
this person?
correct.
Okay. And then we had a
Assistant,
assistant to the supervisor,
mhm.
okay, which is going to be something else, right?
Assistant to the supervisor is going to help. Yeah, no, it's assistant to the
Okay.
supervisor.
So, and then I had a part-time person.
Well, you had a secretary as well, so we have a secretary.
Well, you're gonna, that's the front part of the office. So you have a clerk in the front and you have a secretary. I'm talking about the back office only. So the back office had a director of finance, it had an accountant, it had a payroll or assistant to the supervisor, which I made the accountant, okay? So that's no longer there, but then we have another full-time person doing payroll, which is Lisa, then we had a part-time person. So my question is, director of finance, then two more full-time people and part-time. Are you requesting more than that? Or are you requesting a change of duties here?
Change the duties.
Okay, so you're still only gonna have director of finance, two full-timers?
Yeah, this person is taking the place of the accountant.
Okay, but, so you still have a part-timer then, right?
At this point in time, yeah, we're going to have a part-timer.
Okay, so this is replacing, not adding.
Yeah, we advertised for this specific job. Then it turned out, we found out afterwards, we
Yeah, 'cause I thought
advertised,
we
but
did
it
it
was
last-
part-time.
for you.
Yeah, no, it was part-time. So
You're
we're just changing it to full-time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, I thought I put the full-time things in for you. I didn't know.
but we didn't have that in our inventory. So now we got to reach out to have that in our inventory.
Okay, so you're taking out the other one then?
Correct.
On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Okay, I'd like to move to, look a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion.
May I have a second? Second. On the roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Okay, I'd like to move, it would be resolution number 18, suspended resolution. And whereas the Town Board of Town of Lancaster previously adopted an operating budget for 2023 fiscal year, and whereas one or more town departments have made budget transfers or requested budget transfers contrary to the originally adopted operating budget for the 2023 fiscal year. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster duly considered the following budget transfers. It's requested by our acting director of finance. The amount is $200,500 from the account of Department of Justice grant to go to the account of federal aid and other public safety and public safety equipment. And the purpose is to accept and appropriate the grant funding. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the budget transfers above described. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to our communications. 663 through 665 received and filed. 666 and 667 Planning Committee. 668 received and filed. 669 Planning Committee. 670 through 673 received and filed. 674 Planning Committee. 675 through 677 received and filed. 678 resolution tonight. 679 through 683 received and filed. So now we come to the point of the meeting where people can comment on anything they'd like. So you can come back up now. This is your time. There's a 5-minute limit on this portion, and it's comments only.
Bill
Good
Maurice Romano,
We are discussing your issue tonight in executive session, just so you're aware.
Say that one more time?
The issue that you've come to us, we are going over that in executive session tonight, just so you're aware.
Oh.
You may want to hold
perfect.
off then?
You may want to, yeah.
So you want me to sit down?
No, you can
wanna
still
speak, you
speak,
can.
but I'm just
Okay.
letting you know that your issue,
Yes.
we
It's
are
gonna be
discussing
behind
that
closed
tonight in executive session.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
A comment and then a question. The reason why I came is that basically the questions. I was not able to meet with any of you before, as I said before, because I was not aware. With the time was 6 or 6:30, so my apologies. I can see how important your job is, and I don't want to take more time on that. I do hope that all of you were able to see, since you're going to discuss it, were able to view the video that was taken by Mr. Pilato and the team that came to my home, and that you're able to see. If you were not able to see it, please, I beg you, take a look at that video. All of you, I beg you, that you're able to see that there's a bottom split over the whole culvert pipe, or part of the culvert pipe, that the soil is eroding from the openings, and it's causing the soil on my lawn to sink. My yard is a cul-de-sac, basically surrounded with water. On the east side of my home, the water is flooding from the front lawn due to the drainage of the street that was done on Pinora Street. When the rains are heavy, it floods my front lawn. On the north side is where we have that culvert pipe that needs to be changed. That is completely eroded. And I hope that you're able to see the video. I have not been able to see it, even though Mr. Pilato did offer that I could see the video. Okay, on the west side, there is a Wendell Street that I'm aware that is only on paper. When DePue Schools constructed their turf field, which is 3 feet above the ground, that caused that the way the water used to run down no longer runs that way. So basically, my home is surrounded on those 3 areas with water, and it has caused my soil to keep on going down and sinking, which you can see the soil as you view the video inside the culvert pipe. I did take a picture of the students playing on the turf, but I deleted that picture because they are minors, and I did not want to get in trouble. But other teams are present which are exposed to the stagnant storm waters that come through that culvert pipe. This is a public safety. Rocky Mountain fever can develop on stagnant waters. Currently, Cayuga Heights Elementary School has enrolled around 800 students. That's a public safety. Their physical education classes are outside on their turf, which is not far from the culvert part that was left open on my backyard. I frequently see the older classes running around the field, which brings them even closer to the opening of the culvert pipe. Actually, even the athletes, they urinate on that end of the culvert pipe. This is a public threat to leave stagnant water that can cause Rocky Mountain fever, which I was not aware until my neighbor, Corky, that is in the medical field and lab, informed me of that information. So this is also a concern to my neighbor on the east, on the south side of my home. I just want you to be aware, making sure that it is on the record that I inform you of this in case something like this shows up from the BPU elementary schools, that I did bring this up to you today. In case somebody is thinking that I am asking this to be done because it is a home improvement, it is not. And the reason that the project is not a home improvement to my lot is because if my project was to be filled up with soil, then that will be a home improvement and not have the culvert pipe there. But that is not the case because the highway department needs the opening so the storm waters can flow through our property. So as residents of this home, we will be forever working with you, with the Lancaster Town Board, and always updating you on the conditions of the culvert pipe that runs through our property. These storm waters, it is water, can damage my home and my neighbor's home. And it is extremely important to allow the storm waters to safely flow without damaging our home and our lot. With that question, I recently spoke with Eric Ballone. He is the lawyer that we were asked to have a draft written by him. It was sent on October the 2nd. It was an easement agreement draft that was emailed to Mr. Fiscioni, which he forwarded to you, members of the board. So I am asked by Mr. Ballone if you guys were able to revise it, which I'm informed now that you guys will be doing that today, and if he has to do any changes. So he's asking me that. As you can see, I keep coming at the wrong time, so I am not aware of how things go along. So I am here to ask him for your help, to direct me and to guide me so we can provide everything that you need. But a draft was given to you, and he is asking me if there's anything that he needs to change. Okay?
Can you spell your last name?
Romano.
And your first name?
Belmaris is B as a boy, Elmaries.
Ries?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Back there?
Good evening. I am Liam O'Brien. I live at 119 4th Ave in the Village, and I'm here to talk about the payroll issue that we've had since, I don't even know, a couple months at this point. I haven't had a correct paycheck at the Highway Department in months. I'm talking hundreds of dollars short because of arrears that need to go to the retirement system that I've never had an issue with. I've been with the town, I think, 7 years at this point. I'm not the only one. There's, this morning was an issue with a employee that had a couple $100 go to a bank account that hasn't been used since the 90s. So these issues are just out of control, and we don't know who's fixing them, if they're getting fixed. And obviously you guys know about the deferred comp issue.
Yes. So I can tell you they are getting fixed. There was a team of 6 people from EBC here today. I believe they were working with some of your union people on Friday.
Yeah, I'm vice president, so I was.
So they were addressing those 6. Just a little bit on the payroll. We have a system called KVS, which we are one of the only municipalities in the country still on this system. That system is going to die. I know making a change is painful, but if that system dies, well, we're still on it, nobody's getting paid anything.
Okay.
It was best off to fight these battles now, get us up and running on this new system, which is cloud-based, so we don't have this situation. My fear was, and I've lived through this. When I worked at the bank, I lived on a system that was DOS-based, which KVS is. And they pulled the plug out. I had 3,000 customers at risk, okay? I don't want that to happen to town employees.
Sure, and I understand that. You know,
So it is a painful process. I agree 100% with you. Everything is being done by the company and their power.
I don't want to, yeah, if I can jump in here. I have a different plan for this. I want to bring people back into town hall.
That'd be huge. That would be huge.
and into the supervisor's office,
Right.
train them up on the old system. We'll still make a determination whether we're going to go to the new system or not, but it is something that is also going to be discussed in some detail, and we got to make a decision on it. The town board has to be brought up to speed on what that new system entails. So yes, I'm completely aware of all the problems that have been going on. Some of the problems were fixed, but not all the problems were fixed. So we need somebody in town hall, so when you guys call, you can talk to somebody who is qualified, knows the answers, and can fix this stuff immediately, and we don't have to wait for somebody to show up whatever day of the week that they're working.
Right, that's the problem. We're told, okay, email this person. So you email this person, and they work 2 days this week and 3 days the following week. So we're a week, 2 weeks out before we get an answer. And it's becoming a big problem. And it's not even just for us, it's our secretaries up front that don't have to deal with payroll, really. You know, they have other things to deal with instead of people coming up there every day talking about, I'm $300 short and where's my money and this and that. So I just wanted to get some answers and hopefully we can figure this out.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to solve all those
All
problems.
right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is James Ostroff. I live at 48 Stutzman Road, Bowmansville, New York. Thank you for the town board for the opportunity to speak tonight. And I would like to address Supervisor Ruffino with respect to what the status is of the 30-mile-an-hour speed zone for Stutzman Road.
So we sent that out.
Yeah, it's up. Did we get anything back, Chief?
I have not received anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get anything back yet.
We're waiting for the county.
Okay, but it is,
Oh, yeah.
that's all I want.
Letters have been submitted from our end. Frank Gennaro also submitted a letter, so we're just waiting for a response from the county.
Okay, but, well, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Second time? Third time? I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the 6 topics that I mentioned earlier.
Motion to go into executive session?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
Okay, was made by
Larry?
and second by? Me. Thank you. Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Ruffino?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's.
Joe. Hey, Joe.